Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, Where Truth Matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You may also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and syndicated on Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also continue sending emails. I love receiving emails from you. And every time this guy's on the show with them, you really load us down with them. Send emails to Donna at donnasedge.com. I have a guy with me right now. He's no stranger to the show. You've been with me for years, on top of years. And he is Dr. Attorney Bob French. He's got a business card about this big right here. You're still practicing law.
No, I've quit finally.
You finally did?
62 years was enough.
Do you know what to do with yourself? Because, I mean, this is.
What I do with myself, just hang out.
Well, that's not bad. And also, we have a little
I'm
friend.
still trying to wrap up the practice, so you can see the law books are still here and all this. I'm down now, I think, to 2 or 3 clients, and that'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all done. I've just got to get court orders and stuff. So they're mostly estates, and I can get out of them. And it's not going to be long.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a feeling he's going to have something else going on, and I'm going to keep him busy too. Now, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving, but I would like to ask you your thoughts on how the election turned out. Were you surprised?
Not really. I'm talking about Karen over here. She knows the position I've taken on it, and I have thought that it was going to be a landslide. The American people aren't as dumb as the elite think they are,
No.
and you can't come to people with no background, with no history, without any program, and just step into the spotlight and say, I want to be the leader of the free world. So, like every other politician, and I am a politician, like every other politician, I was afraid, but that's just the way you run. You always run scared. And Karen's husband was a judge, and so she was in politics all their life. And I've been in politics since 1959. And it's funny how I got in. You want me to tell you?
I do, and I love the way you got in. So let's talk. Let's for the folks who haven't listened to you about this before.
Well, when I graduated from School of Commerce and Business Administration at the University of Alabama, I got the signal best job of any graduate in '59. I hired in with the B.F. Goodrich Company, making a higher salary than the dean of the school, which at that time was $13,000 a year, and he only made 12. So anyway, I took this job, and it was just absolutely wonderful. My major had been in trade unions, and I had 1,326 United Rubber Worker members who could come up with more problems than anybody could solve.
Sounds like a fun
But
job.
it was what I had been trained and
Mm-hmm.
educated to do, and so I was just
He had
delighted
the
to do it.
skills to do that.
So I'm in the middle of this and doing real well, and the secretary comes in and says, Mr. French, you're wanted in the corner office. Nobody in industry wants to go to the corner office
Sounds like a
because
bad
that's
thing.
where the boss is with his private restroom. And you know it's trouble if you got to go to the corner office. So I
He
go
got
up,
sent to the principal's office.
do what?
Sounds like you got sent to the principal's office.
That's what I thought,
Mm-hmm.
So I go trooping up there. He had a secretary named Miss Pollard. I think she ran as much of the plant as he did. And so she said, yes, you can go right in. So I went in. He says, Bob French, you're a Republican, aren't you? I thought, man, I got the best job out of the School of Commerce and Business Administration, and I'm about to be fired because
Because
of
I'm a Republican.
politics. And I said, yes, sir. Good. I have a job for you. I want you to go to this address. And he handed me a piece of paper with an address on it in Mountain Brook. I want you to go to this house and represent the West Alabama Managerial Association. It's going to be some type of political meeting, and I don't want to go. So I'm sending you as my representative. Take notes and apprise me of everything that happens Friday. So I was ready to go, and I was thinking, wait just a minute, I'm having a senior moment.
Yeah, but this is what happened. I've got to know why. Okay, was he a Democrat?
No, no, he was.
Oh, so it wound up being a good thing.
Oh yeah, it was a real good thing once I. Oh, he says, want you to represent the West Alabama Managerial Association. I said, Mr. Lehman, I'm not even a member. He says, Bob, neither am I. It doesn't exist. I just made it up. Doesn't it sound good? Now I want you to go over there and represent us well and come back and give me a report. Well, I went over there and there was 9 people, including myself. And there were men from all over the state of Alabama. Of course, I was just a young person, I think maybe 27 or 28 or
Oh
29
wow,
years old.
that young for that position. That's pretty
Yeah, so
good.
uh, the 9 of us, before the evening was over, pledged our lives and our sacred honor to changing politics in Alabama from the Democrat Party that at that time had been controlling politics for 112 years. And that's how I started, and I devoted a lifetime to it. And I've done it all the way up to now, delegate to 5 different Republican conventions, designated outstanding young Republican state chairman of America. But my crowning glory is I got even with all the Democrats for everything they did to me. I was the only Republican in
Uh-huh.
law school. And they, I was kept off of graduating with honors by a professor who gave me a failing grade simply because I was a Republican. So I paid a big price for it, but
Well, you could feel what Trump had to go through, going through all the courts
oh,
and.
he went through a whole lot more than I did. All I did, 12 days out of law school, I was appointed to my first capital case.
Mhm.
A
And guess what it
Klansman,
was?
a group of Klansmen went and raped a black woman.
Oh no.
And here I am. Judge calls me over and says, French, I want you to represent Oney Lee Martin. Everybody, it was big in Tuscaloosa.
Mhm.
And I said, Judge, you people are going to either ask for the death penalty or for life without parole. And I can't even spell capital punishment. I've been out of law school 12 days. Good. It'll enhance your reputation.
Actually, what they were trying to do was tear down your reputation.
Yeah, tear it down
Mhm.
completely because they didn't want to. There were 5 of them, and Lord knows none of them wanted it.
But you know something? When people come after you, that's kind of a good thing. That means you're a threat to what they do.
I've been one of the biggest threats the Alabama Democratic Party has ever had. And we couldn't get candidates. So in 1964, I ran for Congress, lost by 1,200 votes. Later on, I ran for Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Didn't want the job, but we had to have a candidate. And finally, in 1970, they came up here 5 minutes till midnight and had me and my wife and Michelle out here at the airport to talk me into signing papers to run for lieutenant governor. And I sure didn't want to be lieutenant governor or anything else. But he said, if you can get 25% of the vote, we can have a primary. And we're never going to get anywhere as a party because people in Alabama don't understand conventions. They understand primaries. And we've got to have a primary. So Celeste said, go ahead and do it, Bob. So I signed the paper on the wing of an airplane at 5 minutes till midnight, qualifying day. He flew back out of here and took it to Birmingham, qualified me. And lo and behold, I got 28% of the vote. And the Republican Party got a primary, and end of story.
So you
End
think
of
that's what
story.
catapulted us? Because I'm telling you,
Do what?
I had grandparents who were Democrats back in the day.
Oh,
They would have never, ever thought Republican.
oh no, mine either. My
So is that
goodness.
what turned, are you the key on turning that
I
around?
was the first Southern Baptist and the first Republican
That's
in the history of my family. And I have 5 ancestors who fought with George Washington.
That's quite the accomplishment there. Thank you for what you did to turn that around.
Well, I'll tell you right
Absolutely.
now, it's the proudest thing I've ever done. And I've been fortunate to have a lot of honors and everything. But nothing tops changing politics in your home state
That is
forever.
true.
And once we changed it to where the Republican Party had a primary, things changed.
Mm-hmm.
And people could choose whether they wanted to vote in the Democratic primary or the Republican primary. And the way the Democrats were running, let's see, it was Lyndon Johnson before him and Kennedy. I'm trying to remember who some of those guys were, but they were persona non grata with the South.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, the people started voting in our primary, and now the Democrats can't buy voters. And I'm thrilled that it worked out that way.
I wanted to ask you a question because Terry Sewell, who's in the South down there, is in and this is where her district is, I mean, it looks like a third world country. It's just the pitiful. It's in the Black Belt
Yeah.
down there. And so Robin Lydecker was running against her. Robin would have been a much better candidate for this
Uh-huh.
position. But now money started piping in big time for Terry Sewell.
Yeah.
Could there ever be a time, and I just think this would make elections much more fair, is if everybody started with the same amount of money. And if you were a crazy Democrat and you wanted to spend a boatload of money and overspend yours, tough luck. You just wouldn't have enough to get you through. But if you're a conservative like we are, well, then you would, hold on to that money as long as you could.
Right.
But why can't there be a cap put on the amount of money people are given to run for office?
Well, historically, it never has been that way. And secondly, it would be impossible to control. You just create a bunch of thieves and bandits.
Well, we already have.
Well, I know,
Too late.
but now they have to write it down, and you know they did it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Oprah Winfrey, $1 million for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking. Or some of these other things, some of these Hollywood stars poured all that money into that losing effort. And
But it was a billion, wasn't it over $1 billion
oh
Kamala
yeah,
Harris was given, and she's in the red. She spent it all.
yeah, she hadn't even paid, she's not paying it back.
So, and then Trump actually has more money in the till left over.
Right, right.
That alone would be enough to help me if I were on the fence about something like that, which I was not. I was a Trumpster, but if I were on the fence, I would choose the one who had money left over from his campaign funds
Oh, absolutely.
because that's how they're going to run the country.
Well, way back when he first raised his head that he was going to run, he asked for people to give money, and hardly anybody did. I sent him $1,000, and
Were you and I the only one? There was a Republican meeting here in Fort Payne, and you remember when it was like 10 people were running at that time. This is when the when it first started, and I loved Trump from the get go. I mean, Trump made me think of my dad, my grandparents, and
yeah,
my granddads and everything. To me, he was not rude. He was not brash. He was just down to business, businessman. Let's get things done.
yeah,
But were we the only ones who stood up? Because I remember they asked you to stand up. Of course, my husband at that time was for Ted Cruz. He thought Trump was rude, which I didn't. But
yeah.
anyway,
Well,
a lot of people stood up for Ted Cruz and some of the other candidates. And it seems like 2 or 3 people were the only ones who stood up and said they were going to vote for Trump, and they stared at us.
yeah. Well, I was certainly one of them.
Well, it was me and you, and there was another person. I don't remember who that person was. And after it was all over with, people were walking up to me saying, "Are you kidding me? You're for
Yeah,
that guy?" And I'm
yeah.
like,
Well,
he's
see,
a businessman. It makes
at that
sense.
time, they had brought out this Hollywood tape with the locker room conversation on it, where men talk about women.
No, really.
But
To me, that was not a breaker for it. I
it
saw,
was for a lot of Southern Baptists.
well, not for me, because I'm remembering also in New York, they had the skating rink, people had thrown all kinds of money at it, whatever. And he said, "Give it to me, I'll fix it." And he fixed it way under budget
Yeah,
and had it operate. That's when I said, he's the guy, he can make it work.
they saved it for Central Park,
Hmm.
and he has been through so much that I doubt I could have gone through it.
I
Of
don't
course, I
know. I
went
think
through.
you
I
could.
went through my part of
I
it.
was going to say,
How about 16 murder cases to defend at your own expense? That's how many I
yeah.
had, including Judith Ann Neely
Hmm.
and the famous hippie murder case of Wisnant.
I don't know
And
if I ever told you this, but during the time you had Judith, that trial there, my parents were going through a divorce that same year. And there were cameras all over this courthouse.
mhm,
And of course, mother kind of went overboard. So it wound up being a trial, basically the divorce trial. And during that time, I saw you in the halls, but I was running into, I guess people thought I was in with your trial because I was like carrying something over my head running into the courtroom. It was a different courtroom, of course, but
yeah.
that was embarrassing. I have never seen, have we ever had that many people in this town before? Because I mean, this was like a worldwide case.
Oh,
You had
it'd be hard to say. There
CBS.
were 32 news organizations, including the London Daily Mail.
Mhm.
They sent a reporter to follow me around at my house and everything else. She was like glue.
Mhm.
Everywhere I went, there she was from the London Daily Mail. But the whole thing was a setup,
Mhm.
and
Was.
I got the job because of politics, like the other 15 that I got. But what the heck? To heck with them if we can't take a joke. It was rough on me and my family, but we lived through it. I
But
went through.
sometimes you're born a fighter. You're born the person who's going to take charge. I
Wow.
don't think anybody else could have handled that.
I don't know. All I can tell you is that I was the man of the house when I was 10 years old due to my father's injury. And
Mhm.
I had four sisters and a mother who worked, and we grew up the hard way in the country with no running water, made money plowing a blooming mule, and it was rough.
Mhm.
But my mother would always say, they can kill you, but they can't eat you. Now get after it.
I like that. Also, my grandmother used to say, "If it doesn't kill you, well, then you'll be okay."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother would always say, you can do it.
Oh,
And
that's a
she would
wonderful way to be
say,
raised.
you're the smartest boy your age. Now you can do it. I didn't think I
You
was
were smart
smart,
for your
but she
age.
insisted
Well,
that.
she saw something in you that you didn't see,
Well, she knew I was very religious, and
even then.
oh yeah, well when I was just beginning to walk and talk, I wouldn't eat without saying the blessing, and I only knew one blessing, and it was Christ save us, Amen. And for that, my family always called me preacher. And my grandfather was the preacher, Presbyterian preacher at Gurley for 36 years. My great grandfather was the preacher at New Hope for Lord knows how many years. So I sort of came by it honest
Mhm.
with great grandfather and grandfather on different sides of the family. And then having a mother and father who were devoutly religious. Uh, my my father went to Bethel College at McKenzie, Tennessee, to study the ministry, and decided after he got into it, he changed to a banker. And when Black Friday came in during the Depression, he was vice president of Tennessee Valley Bank in Huntsville. He got up and walked out the door and never went back. Went to work for the Southern Railroad, stayed there 60 years.
Mhm.
So it's been an interesting ride. It's 91 years of not much more than excitement.
Yeah, but I've just got to tell you, folks like you have ambition, and I breed off of that. I mean, I love ambition, but what we're seeing now, the way people have been taught in school for the past couple of decades, is that the kids have been beat down into submission almost, is where they can't think for themselves. So I'm hoping with Trump coming in, and I think it'll happen, we're going to see a little more of that grandeur where people actually want to work and people want to be ambitious and
Yeah, he
that's
sent me
something.
back when he was smarting for money shortly after he came down the escalator. And I sent him a check. And come Christmas, he sent me a gold Christmas card.
How
I
nice.
mean, not real gold, I'm sure, but a
Who knows with Trump?
gold gold picture of the White House on it.
Uh,
So I treasure that. I have 18 presidential Christmas cards from various ones all the way back to Ronald Reagan and Nixon and so on.
my aunt, I have an Aunt Elizabeth who is 103 years old, and she's just all over the place and lives by herself, doesn't want any help from anybody. She's one of those. She thinks that eating, the reason she has lived this long is because she raises her own vegetables, and she's probably right.
Probably right.
So she won't eat anything anywhere else. But when she turned 100, President Trump sent her a card and a Make America Great Again hat. And
Oh
I forgot,
my.
he sent her a whole bunch of stuff. And boy, she loves Trump.
Yeah. Well,
And she was a Democrat back in the day now.
yeah. Well, I never was a Democrat, but everybody in my family was.
Mhm.
And Lord help, I could quote some of them that wouldn't be fit for television.
Well, both of my one of my granddads was a Republican, and the other one was a Democrat. So
Uh,
I became very political at a very
yeah,
young
well,
age
that's
too.
good. You had a choice.
Mhm.
I didn't have a choice. So when I grew up, the gravy that was served on my grandfather's table was Hoover gravy,
Oh, I get it.
and everything was Hoover's fault. And
Uh-huh.
Roosevelt was the king, and my grandfather was very prominent in Huntsville. He was practically a professional juryman.
Oh.
Every jury session, he was on the jury, and very, very well known, very Democrat. And when he turned 80, my uncle took him and me for a ride in his brand new Buick. So we rode up around and got on top of Montesano Mountain. He pulled off, looked at Jones Valley and says, "Daddy, just look at how Huntsville has grown." He says, "Yeah, but in those houses, every one of them is either a Yankee or a Republican."
Oh,
And
and that was a bad thing back then.
anyway, you spell it, that means trouble.
Yeah. I
So
get
that's
you.
the history I came out of. So,
I think it's good. It gives you, because, like I said, the one granddad was a Democrat. My grandmother had passed away 2 years before Reagan ran for office. And he said, call me Donnie. He wanted me to be the first grandson. But anyway, he said, Donnie, he said, your grandmother would not like what I'm about to do. And I'm thinking, what's he talking about? She'd passed away 2 years. And he said, I'm going to vote Republican for the first time in my life. I like Reagan. And I said, Granddad, grandmother would have voted for Reagan. She would have liked him too. So anyway, let's cut to a break. Can you believe half the show is already over? Wow. Okay, we're going to go into a break and we're going to be right back in just a minute. So hang in there. Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future. at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central, as I get right on with you in the afternoon. Wanted to thank all of our sponsors. We got the best. I mean, they are absolutely fantastic. Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales. Phil just bought a truck from him. And so I wanted a car. Phil wanted a truck. And he said, no, we need a pickup truck because we got the farm, we got all the stuff going on. And I said, well, okay, we'll do it. So Phil gets a really good deal on a truck. And so now I've taken over the truck. I love the truck. So I like it. I mean, I didn't think I'd like it. It's so big, you know, and it has the two cab and all that stuff. So I didn't think I'd like it, but I do love it. But Bobby, thank you so much for what you do in the community and for all the things you do. MyPillow.com. You know, he's one of our sponsors as well, Mike Lindell. If you decide you'd like to buy some of the pillows, use promo code Donna, and you'll get some huge savings if you'll do that. And they're running some really good Christmas deals right now. So go ahead and get started.
Well, I highly recommend his products. I've got them all.
Yeah, I
I've got the bed
know.
cover. And the
Oh, isn't
pillows.
that nice? That bed cover is wonderful.
Yeah, I've got it all.
Towels, you got
The
your towels,
sheets and
yeah, sheets and
all those things. I mean, they're really,
shoes.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting old Mike somewhere, but I can't remember where it was.
it might have been Montgomery.
He showed up at a Republican meeting.
When Trump went to Montgomery, I got to meet him.
Oh,
And I said, you're one of my sponsors. He said, let's get a picture taken. So he's a real neat guy, too.
He really is.
Bob Fridge is with us right now. He's an attorney and still an attorney. Been in politics for a long time. And also a doctor. Not a medical doctor, but I don't know, he probably could.
No, I have to fill your papers to know how you're doing.
That's true. Okay, now we're going to talk about Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Most
There's
people
a
don't know.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about Thanksgiving, and it's probably been, for the want of a better word, fooled with or toyed more than any holiday we have. One of the stories I like to tell about Thanksgiving, before you really get down to the bare knuckle facts, and while I'm mentioning that, there have been so many presidents, starting with George Washington, who diddled around with the Thanksgiving Day.
Not the George.
George Washington changed the day and made it a different day for Thanksgiving and made it a national holiday. It died during the Civil War. So when the Civil War was over, Abraham Lincoln made Thanksgiving a holiday, and they had always put it in the last week of November. And I'll get to why that is later. But right now, going through these presidents, one of the fanciest tricks is pulled with Thanksgiving was Roosevelt. You know, when the deep, dark times of the Depression that I can remember, horrible times. Nobody had any money because nobody had any jobs because nobody could buy anything that was made with the jobs. So it was a vicious cycle. It was worse and worse and worse. And the way Lincoln had set up Thanksgiving was it was 20 days or 25 days before Christmas. Don't hold me to that exact date, but take it, it was, no, it wasn't 25, it was 30 days before Christmas.
Oh, okay.
So
So it wasn't necessarily on Thursday. It could have been any other day.
it could have been any day. It was the last Thursday in November. Well, here we are deep in the Depression, and all at once we're coming up on the holiday season where people will go shopping. Roosevelt knew that the people didn't have any money and would have a hard time shopping. So he changed Thanksgiving by 5 days to give you 5 more shopping days for Christmas.
There you go.
And it helped. It helped pull us out of the Depression. Of course, the thing that got us out of the Depression was World War II. But anyway, that's one of the sneakiest ones. And then, of course, there was John Kennedy changed the day, and various and sundry other presidents have changed it, moving it around. And we finally, I think, got it in a final resting place for the last Thursday in November. But one of the most beautiful stories of Thanksgiving, and there are two that are ingrained in the American psyche, and that is it's a big turkey feast celebrating the fact that the Indians helped save us from a bad crop and taught us how to plant corn. And we had a big harvest, and Bradford and all the pilgrims invited the Indians down. We'll get that in a minute. One of the prettiest things that I know of is in 1619. There was a guy in England named Harrison, and he was wealthy. And he chartered a boat and put 38 English settlers on it and in 1619 and sent them to the New World. And they got to Berkeley, Virginia, which is where they were supposed to go. But they got there on December the 4th, 1619. And when they got their feet on the new soil, they had a religious celebration because their London charter that Harrison had made dictated that the day, quote, I'm quoting this, that the day of our ship's arrival at the place assigned for plantation in the land of Virginia shall be yearly and perpetually kept holy as a day of thanksgiving to Almighty God. And they still celebrate that at Berkeley. And it's in honor of the Harrison family. Well, that wasn't good enough. 4 years later, Bradford, or really somewhere around, it was after 1621. It must be here because I have a star by it. Says that in 1621, Massachusetts had a Thanksgiving prompted by a good harvest. And this was celebrated with the Winnepago Indian tribe, the Pawtuxets, which were the last of the Mohicans. There were no more Pawtuxets. The end of the Pawtuxets came to this Thanksgiving. And they had this with the Narragansett tribe for several days. And what had happened was the group that joined the Pilgrims had joined against the rival Narragansetts. And they reached a lull in the argument over whatever they were arguing about. And they all had this feast. And of course, the Pilgrims were thrilled because it appeared they were going to starve, and the Indians taught them how to take a dead fish and put it in a hole and put a kernel of corn on it and cover it up and grow corn. Or they called it maize. So they
We
decided.
even use that now in gardening.
Well, of course you can. It's just fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they had it at that holiday, and that began in 1621. And in 1623, they called it a Puritan holiday. Then in Boston, in 1631, see how we're aggravating ourselves with it? They said that that wasn't correct, that it should be another day, and that really it wasn't over the Pilgrims and the Indians. It was over a battle in 1574 in England, the siege of Leyden in 1574. And the reason this is interesting to us is they set the day for Thanksgiving, the day the battle was over, October 4th. And they said, this is Thanksgiving Day. Well, of course, the Puritans and the Christians, they weren't going to stand for that. So they said, you're not taking October 4th, we'll give you October 4th. And so lo and behold, they organized a holiday called Oktoberfest. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know it either. That's where Oktoberfest comes from.
Now every town across the world has October something,
Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest, celebrating the siege of Leyden in 1574. And they named it in 1617 Oktoberfest, and we still have Oktoberfest around the world.
The pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns and
Yeah. So anyway, Governor Bradford in New England at Plymouth Colony, what he wanted Thanksgiving to be a religious holiday, thanking God for all the blessings of the year. Well, a lot of people didn't like that because sometimes the harvests weren't worth a darn. They were starving to death. And
you didn't have a good harvest.
There were no blessings. So George Washington, when it got to him and John Hancock, they decided to set a day for Thanksgiving and hopefully that the people would pray with grateful hearts. And so on November 26, 1769, George Washington set it aside as a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many and signal favors of Almighty God, and he calls on Americans throughout the country to unite and most humbly offer our prayers and supplications to our great Lord and ruler of nations, and have a happy Thanksgiving celebration. Well, you would have thought that with the father of the country putting it down like that, that'd be it. Not here,
No.
it's not.
Still more history.
Yeah, there's still many more changes to come. And of course, the Calvinist John James Baker, who was a leading Calvin scholar, and Calvin, you know, was the Methodist organizer and so on. So he said Thanksgiving was never to be coupled with the Sabbath meeting, that the Puritan observance were simply special days during a week for thanksgiving and praise, but not responsible for blessings from God or having anything to do with religion. And of course, the people coined a phrase that we still use as a result with their argument with him, and it's called a tempest in a teapot.
Now that one I've heard.
Everybody's heard of a tempest in a teapot, but you never knew it came because of Thanksgiving.
No, I didn't think that's what brought it on.
That's it. Well, in November 5th, 1963, and remember, the Abraham Lincoln Day stayed until Roosevelt added the 5 days. Roosevelt's 5 days stayed until 1963, when John F. Kennedy acknowledged that both Virginia and Massachusetts claimed Thanksgiving. Each governor made their proclamation. Each one of them said the other side's crazy and it's wrong. But you see, I've already told you how it started. Harrison family and Bradford, Plymouth and Virginia. So they have this terrible argument going on, and Kennedy said it was being far from home in a lonely wilderness, trying to come up with a time for Thanksgiving, and that something had to change. So on November 5th, 1963, he set that as the, by the way, that's the year I graduated from law school. Anyway, he set that as the official Thanksgiving Day. Well, immediately, a group at the University of Florida said that the whole thing was all wrong, that the first Thanksgiving was September the 8th, 1565, and it was in St. Augustine. So the fight over Thanksgiving is still going on, see?
It will continue.
Even till then, the Canadians wanted to get in on it. So they had said that it was Thanksgiving was April the 15th, 1872.
It's not cold enough.
No, so we had that argument, and Parliament proclaimed it as Thanksgiving, and it's observed even until today as Canadian Thanksgiving. But in the United States, we've gone through the founding fathers, through the Civil War, through everybody changing it, and finally we've got it down. Let's see, I was going to say the exact date. Well,
it got here pretty quick this year, and Phil, so my husband Phil said, "Have you called Bob yet?" And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Thanksgiving. He always does Thanksgiving. He always does Christmas. Have you called him yet?" And I said, "Because we've got a lot of stuff going on, you know." And it just slipped up on me. I've got my calendar here, Bob. So if I don't keep the calendar, I'm going to tell you what. The day after Thanksgiving sales, I don't do it. I can't do that. And this is what I know about retail. Not every time, but most of the time, when people put retail items out and it is on sale, it's too good to be true. It's stuff they've not been able to sell all year long. So that's why you get such the price that you get sometimes. But I'm excited about Thanksgiving. But I wanted to ask you a question while you're looking at this, while you're looking for it, if you don't mind.
Well, it's fourth Thursday
It's going to be the 28th this month.
in November. That's when Kennedy said it. That's where it is now.
So, okay, so we've had a pretty heated election. I have a lot of Democrats in my family as well. So it's been pretty heated. How do you get along with people at Thanksgiving and Christmas knowing that it can be a war zone? People are throwing biscuits and everything else in my family, but how do you maintain a holiday where it's a sacred holiday to us and people want to ruin it because of politics?
Well,
What's the deal with that?
That's it. In my house, we just don't discuss politics. I have a granddaughter who just got her degree in pre-med at the university and will go to med school. What's she going to do? Brain surgery?
Yeah, I think so.
And she's going to med school next year. She's taken a year off because it's been so hard getting to where she is now. And she was one of these brilliant students that got to go to this exclusive, brilliant school in Jefferson County. I can't remember It's not the Birmingham School of Fine Arts.
Baccalaureate?
Well,
Was it a baccalaureate?
It's
Something
that's what the degree. Oh, the Jefferson County Baccalaureate School. Anyway, something
See.
like that. It's
Mhm.
exclusive.
Mhm.
They only have 60 students. But the problem is they've got all these weirdo professors spewing that garbage that don't know their rear end from first base.
Mhm.
And they keep spreading it, and my granddaughter's bought into it. And it doesn't matter what I say, she's got an argument coming back, so I just don't argue with her. I try to love her anyway.
Sometimes it's hard,
I'm
Bob.
not so sure I'm successful with it, but she is a brilliant person, and she's just got this weird thing that she listened to it every day, all day long, from these people that she had to pass examinations with. Yeah, the Jefferson County Baccalaureate School. And she was very fortunate to get into it. And of course, because she was into it, she got advanced in college immediately and got her fees paid.
Mhm.
All she had to do was pay a very little. And once she got in there, she had to maintain, I think it's an A minus average. She maintained it all the way through. That's hard to do in
Yeah.
chemistry and biology and all that stuff. But she did. But she's the only member of my family that's a liberal.
But you know something? There's also something to be said about the Alabama Auburn team too, because I mean we probably have more fights about that than we have anything else.
Oh yeah.
I'm an Auburn fan. I know I saw your Alabama banner out there.
Well, I got
So
my A on right
and yeah, I
here.
saw it. And so I am married. You're probably the biggest Alabama fan, but I'm married to the second biggest Alabama fan. So what we do the day after Thanksgiving, we'll shake hands with each other. We'll do this because one of us is going to be mad at the other one, in just a couple hours or so. And so, but I got to say this one though. You remember when, got a second? So we were at my mother's house. By the way, she's a huge Alabama fan. The rest of it, I'm the only Auburn fan. So they are having such a good time. They're saying the game is over. Auburn is no way Auburn's going to win this one. And I'm sitting here pouting, and everybody else is having a good time and all this stuff. But I'm still watching television. I see the Auburn player. He gets the ball, and he's running, and he just keeps running. And I'm going, hold off, everybody. Look.
That's called a kick. Yeah.
So for the longest, I was saying, got a second, by the way? Because, I mean, it was like one of those second, I mean, he just like was running it down the field and they won. I know it's rare. I know you and Phil win most of the time,
Well,
but you still can't predict that game, Bob.
you can't pick it
Mm-mm.
because the picks don't count. And we've lost games to Auburn that if I were a betting man, I'd have bet $1,000 we'd win.
I would never bet that. I don't bet anyway, so I wouldn't have enough sense knowing
Well,
to quit.
everything goes out the window, and now
But
this,
Alabama could be winning every single game of the season, and Auburn could be losing every game of the season. And again, I wouldn't predict that one.
well, that's when Auburn will win after Tennessee beats us.
I can't believe that
Those two
they're
are
coming from out of nowhere.
horrible so far as Bama's concerned. LSU used to be in that crowd, but I think we've humbled them.
Well, there's a little bit of grudge going there with the Georgia too.
Well, yeah, go teach the Bulldogs to behave.
Mm-hmm.
Send the Yellow Jackets to a watery grave. Yay, Alabama.
War Eagle.
Yeah.
I think we agree 110% everything political. I have not. We've talked several times political, but I differ with you on the ball game. It's just big time.
Well, I don't hate Auburn. I don't even despise Auburn. Auburn is more attuned with my philosophy than Alabama. It's just that I spent 7 years at Alabama.
And you would be an Alabama fan.
Oh, I'm terrible.
But
I mean, I've got my A on.
every time
See?
I've ever seen you, he's got something. And his office before you get there's a Alabama.
Well, the worst thing about it is I hang out with Miss Tennessee over here,
I bet that's
and
rough.
she is a mad dog. She has hydrophobia with football. And, you know, when I was a boy, we didn't play Auburn. The legislature had passed a law that we didn't have to because years back they had that riot, and I think 7 people were killed in Birmingham.
Oh my goodness.
So they said Alabama and Auburn
right.
can't play each other again. And then after World War II, I think it was 45 or 46, the legislature passed a law that they had to play each other again. So up until they did that, my nemesis was always Tennessee.
Well, you got that Philip Fulmer thing going on. We still hold grudges about that.
Oh, can you believe that rascal beat us 9 out of 10 years in a row?
That's okay. To keep you two from fighting, let's go to something else. Okay, so you are also an author and a speaker, and you have some books. Folks would love to buy those.
Do what now?
You have books you have written, so we need to talk about those. We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment.
Well,
I'm just trying to prevent an argument later.
yeah. Well, if you wanna know my relationship with Paul W. Bryant, you can find it in my book Call Me Herman,
There you go.
which tells all about how the bear and I interrelated. And I think Nixon and several other important people. John Wayne, who I
Still a John
represented.
Wayne fan.
Yeah, well, I represented him and was a guest in his home. All that's in Call Me Herman. That's my biography, autobiography. My book, John, explains the book of John in the Bible. Guaranteed to tell you things you don't know, things that you'll never know. But I dug deep enough in my grandfather's old books to write. It took me 20 years to write it. And I must say it's the best thing I've ever done. Then The Lawyer is a comedy book about, usually I'm the butt of all jokes. And it's about cases and clients that I've represented and the messes that I've got into. Then there's Beaten, Battered, and Damned, which is the story of the defense of Judith Ann Neely. A lot of people will say I started it, but I can't finish it. It's an ugly thing because it was an ugly case. So let's see, the other 2 are short stories, 10 for the Road. You buy them and you read them while your husband drives.
Yeah, I have to.
And you just go on, just go through one after another, and you can't predict the end. And some people,
Now we're going to have to close. So how can folks find your books?
Amazon,
Got the Amazon. You can also get in contact with me. I've got his number.
Amazon, Bob French books. Yeah.
Okay. Bob, thank you so much for being with me today.
Well, it's been a lot
It's
of
always
fun.
so much fun. Now we're going to hang around and get you set for Christmas too. And
All right.
thank you for watching. I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching us. We definitely appreciate that. You can find us on radio at icradio.media, where we're Fox News affiliates. You may also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundance Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Continue to send emails. I love your emails. Donna@donnasedge.com. Thank you, Bob, and thank you.